Woods Farm here, just back out in the shop. I'm doing some fabrication today on the Volkswagen Kubelwagen. I just want to talk a bit about cutting metal. It's one of the kind of weaknesses I have in the shop. I don't have a very efficient, good way to cut large straight lines. Like in a proper shop, you'd have some sort of a brake or something, or a shear that would, depending on how big, 6-8 feet, you could cut straight lines in sheet metal. And that kind of tool is obviously way out of my price range. So I'm stuck dealing with using other tools. So when I was making medieval armor, for years my go-to tool was a jigsaw. The thing is, you need a proper metal cutting blade, but it will cut through this 16, 18 gauge material. It's a slow process, but you can do curves with it. That's the thing. When it comes to trying to cut a straight line with this thing over a long stretch of like 2-3 feet, you end up, it kind of waves a little bit. It's not a perfectly straight line, so it's kind of a pain in the ass. I'm experimenting today with using an angle grinder with a zip cut, either with a piece of bar stock clamped down as a guide or just freehand. And I'm going to play around with that today to see how it does with cutting kind of longer straight lines. Because the jigsaw, it does good for curves, but it's very slow. So yeah, that's the problem I've got. It takes me 20 minutes to cut out a plate, which might take me, 5 minutes if I had a huge, shear. And I also have like an electric metal shear, but I find it only works good for 20 gauge, maybe 18, and even then, if the blades are out of alignment, they get dull, it doesn't work that well. So I'm really stuck with just the jigsaw. It's slow, it takes forever, but it does work. It helps if you put a little bit of oil where you're cutting. That always helps a bit, but and the trick is you got to clamp down your workpiece. And you have to have a really solid workbench. Because if the workbench isn't solid, this is going to vibrate like crazy. You got to clamp it down, you got to have a good workbench, but it can be done. So yeah, that took about 20 minutes, but you can get the panels cut out. Just takes time. It doesn't work too bad. It's really hard to see your line because of the sparks. It's tricky. So I'm just bending a couple of angles into this plate because it needs to join up and overlap. So I have a break, but I got a nice hard straight edge and a solid bench, so if you clamp it down you can bend it over. And you just got to play around with it to get the angle right. So I was using a milk crate, but it was a little high, and the measurements I had were 9.75. This is 9.5, I think. It's a little closer to the dimensions, and I wanted to make sure the ergonomics were all right, and just being paranoid about the height of the dash, because I double checked my measurements and I measured from the floor up on the replica that I'm copying, and it's actually about 1/2 inch to 1 inch higher than this is. And I was just worried about sight lines and such, but it's not that bad. Come up another inch, it's not going to be a problem, I don't think. I mean, the seat's pretty good right here. The steering wheel. It's interesting that the rocker panel is from the very bottom here. I don't know if you can see that. It's 9.25 inches up. It's quite the step, to get in and out. But that's the lower panel of the front firewall. And I've got a framework on the back side of it. This is mostly, I'm going to have 2 braces come out from this, and it will support the nose and the structure for the hood. So just test fitting everything. Just tacked it and it looks like it's pretty good. So we're gonna weld this piece up and then we'll be able to get it attached to that firewall. So that's where we're at so far. Just tacking a lot of this stuff in. I'll make sure everything's lined up good before I weld everything in place. But you get the idea. Watch your eyes. Okay, that's it for today. Didn't quite get as far as I wanted to. I was hoping to get the braces for the front. This right here is where the dash is. I was hoping to get it actually welded in place and the braces that go down from here to the front, but I did get quite a bit done, including the front firewall, and part of this on both sides is all set up. A lot of it's just tacked down, so I got to go back and weld over it, but it's good. Anyways, if you want to see more videos of the Volkswagen Kubelwagen project, like and subscribe. I'll be trying to finish this front end up in the next couple of days, so I should make another video about that. Thanks for watching.